So have you ever thought about how a brand could take something as personal as, say, your own name and actually turn it into a product? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. We're looking at a business model that transforms your identity into something you can buy. Let's dive in and see how they pull it off.
All right, check this out. This is the tagline from a company called H2 Aura, and it's really the heart of what we're unpacking here. Just think about that for a second. A single initial from your name, and boom, it's transformed into a totally unique personal quote. I mean, that's a pretty bold claim, right? It sounds almost like magic. So how on earth is that even possible?
Yep, those are the exact questions we're going to tackle. We're going to break down the nuts and bolts of the business, figure out what they're really selling, because it's more than just a product, and, most importantly, uncover the psychology that makes this whole thing tick. Okay, first up, your name, your quote. Let's deconstruct this pretty unique e-commerce concept. To really get it, we're going to use H2 Aura as our case study. I mean, their entire brand is built on this one single idea. So the big question is, how do they actually deliver a unique quote for literally every possible name and initial out there?
Well, the secret sauce is actually a really clever business model, print on demand. So instead of picturing this giant warehouse stuffed to the ceiling with pre-made stuff, just forget that. With print on demand, nothing gets made until you, the customer, actually place an order. So let's say you order a mug for the letter S. They print that specific mug just for you, right then and there. It's basically mass customization, but without all the massive financial risk.
All right, so the business model makes it possible. That's the how. But what are people actually buying? Let's take a look at how this kind of abstract idea becomes a real, physical thing you can hold in your hand.
So this whole unique, personalized quote thing, it isn't just an idea floating around in the cloud. It gets printed on a whole bunch of everyday stuff. We're talking personalized t-shirts, hooded sweatshirts, coffee mugs, tote bags, even stainless steel water bottles and pillowcase covers. The brand basically weaves this personal statement right into your daily life through all this different merch.
And it's not just about the type of product either. The variety gets even more specific. You can see they have these different design themes, like cassette vibes or a brain graphic, and that gets paired with your personalized quote. And look at the pricing. That tells a story too. We're not talking about super high-end luxury goods. This is meant to be a really accessible way for lots of people to get something that feels personal.
Okay, so let's recap. We know what they sell, a bunch of different products, and we know how they make it using print on demand. Seems simple enough, right? But that doesn't explain why it works. Why do people actually want this stuff? And that, my friends, brings us to the real engine driving this whole business.
Next section, the psychology of personalization. This is the engine behind the sales. See, the real secret here isn't in the supply chain or the product catalog. Nope, it's all about human psychology. This whole model works because it taps right into our deep, fundamental desire to feel seen, to feel unique, and to feel understood. And believe me, this brand knows exactly how to pull those strings.
And you know what the best part is? We don't even have to guess how they do it. The clues are hidden in plain sight. The company's own website basically gives you the entire playbook. Just look at the titles of their blog articles. They spell out their whole psychological strategy, crystal clear.
It really boils down to what you could call 3 pillars of personalization. First, there's the power of a name. This is all about connecting a product to your core identity, who you are. Second, you've got the art of gifting, which is about framing these custom items as way more meaningful and thoughtful presents. And finally, the acrostic method. That's the specific trick they use to turn a name into that unique statement.
I mean, look at this blog title right here. It says it all, doesn't it? The psychology of personalized gifts. Why custom art wins. They're telling you straight up, they're not just selling products. They are selling the feeling you get with a truly personal gift. They know that custom art wins because it has an emotional weight that some generic off-the-shelf thing can never, ever have. All right, so let's zoom out for a minute. What does this one company's strategy really tell us about where commerce is headed? Because this isn't just about one clever brand. It's actually a perfect example of a much, much bigger trend: hyper-personalization.
And when you put them side by side, the contrast is just stark. On one hand, you have your typical mass-produced goods, right? The emotional connection is pretty low, and their value is mostly just about what they do. But on the other hand, these hyper-personalized items, they create a high emotional connection. Their value isn't based on function, it's based on identity. And that makes them so much more memorable and thoughtful, especially when you're giving a gift.
So the crucial point here is this. It's not really about selling a mug or a t-shirt or a tote bag. That's not the real business.
What they're really selling is a product of one.
It's an item that feels like it was designed, created, and made for an audience of just a single person, you. And let's be honest, in a world of endless mass production, that feeling of individuality is pretty powerful.
Which kind of leaves us with one last thought to chew on. You know, in a world that's run by algorithms that are constantly trying to predict our every move, maybe the ultimate luxury isn't some crazy expensive brand name. Maybe it's just a simple product that, in a very real way, knows your name.